Welcome to Let's Play Rule the Waves 2 as France, starting in 1920. It's episode 20, and we are in 1933, at war with the United States, with our chums Germany as our great allies. The war's been going for 9 months, and it's a little bit on the stagnant side. They haven't been to see us across the Atlantic to get their heads kicked in, and we haven't been to see them either. If we have a look at the geography, you can see the global dispositions. I've concentrated my force entirely in Northern Europe, if you ignore an old colonial cruiser out in Southeast Asia. The US has a few bits and bobs around the globe, and one light cruiser in Northern Europe, but has drawn its battle fleet down to try and capture our base in Antilles. Germany, the Grey, has deployed substantial forces across the Atlantic. Well done, Germany. And I'm minded pretty much to do the same. So I'm going to send a force to raid to North America, to the East Coast, which is their home territory, in order to mix things up a little bit. Force de Raid, for those who remember, was actually the force created in Brest at the start of World War II to hunt raiders with the Royal Navy across the North and South Atlantic. With the fall of France, it went down to Mers el Kabir on the Algerian coast, and its admiral, Admiral Jean Soule, was the one who decided not to give in to James Somerville and Force H when they came along and gave them the options to disarm or go to the West Indies or join them with the Royal Navy in fighting the Germans. Hopefully our force will have a better history. It is going to be made up of pretty much all the ships we've built since 1920. So a couple of carriers, a couple of light carriers, 4 battleships. The Liberty is still in working up. That will join later. 2 heavy cruisers, some light cruisers, and as many destroyers as we can muster. A lot of my destroyers have cramped accommodation, which isn't going to go well when you're moving across 2 sea zones, as this force is. Without bases in the American East Coast, the length of time that I can support the force de raid is going to be limited. After 2 months or so, I would expect a number of the ships to start to fatigue, as shown by little asterisks against them, and I'll have to pull it back in order to rest the fleet and then probably send it over again. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the American Atlantic Fleet. My hope is that we have enough high-speed vessels, everyone is 28 knots or more, to either defeat any force we meet or run away from any force that would be overwhelming, because it would contain slow battleships. I'm also hoping that the high concentration of carrier air power will overwhelm the American carriers, which I don't believe are as good. Here we are in the game, and as you can see, this highlighted lot, that is the force de raid, and I've just sent them off to the northeast coast. If we have a look at the almanac and look at the USA and its ships, you can see, according to my intelligence, which I notice I've still got at medium, bad me, I should have turned that up to high. In fact, let's just do that now before I forget. You can see their reported speed is all 20 knots for their gun line, 22 knots for these modern ships, 18 knots, I can't believe that. 23 knots, yeah, that's got to be wrong. So very few of their battleships will be able to harm me. Now, they do have these older battle cruisers, 12-inch gun jobs, which are all reportedly at 26 knots. Obviously, this Saratoga, with a reported speed of 29 knots. Oh, well, that's different. Why does it say 29 knots here and then speed down here as 18 knots? That's not very helpful, is it? Okay, let's see some of these older ones. So yes, they are reported to be 26 knots. 19 knots, I don't believe that. So they do have a fair few battle cruisers. 8. They have 1 carrier and 7 light carriers. Let's have a look at their carrier. His light carriers, 14, 14, 11, 11. Yeah, they're all, I mean, he's got a lot of them, but they all have small complements of planes, whereas mine are mainly 34s. Okay, well, it's going to be interesting. So let's move on into July. Convoy defense, I don't have any forces there. So it says if I decline, it costs 360. If I accept, it costs 365. Okay. Ah, okay. Well, always good to see a raider interned for lack of fuel. 18 submarines. They've sunk no merchant ships at all, which I find a bit odd. Oh, I have put mine back onto fleet support. He's attacking me a bit, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. Ah, so the Germans have actually managed to blockade. So if we go back here, you can see the German force seemingly slightly smaller than the American force. Oh, hang on, that was for June. If we go back here, you can see the Germans are at 44. The French, of course, that's why it's blockaded. We've arrived. Yes, 123. So well done, chaps. So we've arrived, and let's see what battles that generates. Okay, a convoy attack. Let's accept that. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Really? I put all that force into the American East Coast, and I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 destroyers, and a further 2 weren't able. That is rubbish. Okay. Let's see what happens with all of this. Okay, some ships sighted. Hooray! What's the time, by the way? So it's night. Ah, okay. 4 hours and 25 minutes. So the first thing I'm going to do is tell everybody to torpedo anything as much as they want. The next thing is I'm going to go to squad max. Range is 4,000 yards. So let's just beetle into whoever these people are. They're probably American destroyers. Or perhaps it's just the American fleet convoy. Okay, there is a destroyer there. And there, and there. Yes, there's a lot of destroyers. We don't need screening, we do need supporting. And we need you in line ahead. Let's... And a cruiser, okay. Okay, you don't seem to know what you're doing, so let's bring you back into, I don't know, a helpful direction. Oh, did you see that torpedo go right through the American? Heaven knows what the range is. Hit chance of 9% at 1,400 yards. But actually, there's some night fighting -10. Target sighting level, yeah, we don't know what we're shooting at. So quite a lot of minuses at the moment. Bit of wiggling from the American cruiser there. Have we loosed off most of our torpedoes? And ditto, nope, you've got plenty. So I'm going to take him out a little bit. Ooh, there goes a pile. And they all miss. Oh, okay. One hits. Ooh. Crikey. One hit. Okay, 1, 2, 3 hits from 5-inch guns. And that's pretty much toast for that one, I think. Shame there isn't like a detach button here. Very much go that way. I don't expect you can carry on to there. You can carry on to there. Let's try and ignore the escort. And another torpedo goes straight through. Mind you, the light cruiser seems to have evaporated and become simply all destroyers. So, memo to self. Hold off on the torpedoes when you are attacking destroyers. It is, oddly enough, one of the things in my tactical guides. Let's bring down this speed down to, say, let's see how it's doing. Okay, it's not super flooding. It's mainly, yeah, lots of shell hits. But it's lost all of its torpedoes. So we'll just take you away and take you away too. Not sure that this is going to be a great success. We just whiz out a little bit. We've got one sinking, one probably sinking, one heavily damaged, one pretty damaged. So yeah, it did face us. I mean, they've got a couple of corvettes. Claim of an armed merchant cruiser? Probably not. Let's bring the speed down to, I don't know, 24. And the same for these. Make some better gun platforms and stuff. Whoops, 24. So a little bit of shooty. See if we can rack up the total number that we need. This way. Whoops. No. Yeah, we're just being overwhelmed by all these American destroyers, who luckily are able to find us in the middle of the night despite the lack of radar. And we only have control of one ship left, which isn't doing very well anyhow. Let's bring that down to cruise at least. What's happening here? Cruise. The AI is trying to sink my destroyers, my damaged ships, as it usually does. I think I'm just going to disengage. And see if we can There we go. Whoops. So, it's tricky, you know, in naval fights, in night fights, you have to, you know, get right in there immediately and try and cause damage. And if your principal weapon, the torpedoes, doesn't do anything, then you're a bit stuffed, really. American destroyers with 5-inch guns as well is pretty neat. Obviously, not having a base and having to return damage from a whole ocean away, I'm surprised if any of these are actually going to make it. And there we go. So, game over. Wow! They all survived. Wow. So, yeah. But, I mean, we did sink 6. So, not all bad. 8 destroyers, plus a couple of corvettes against my 5. Wasn't really going to be too helpful. But they all survived. Wow. I didn't expect that. A minor enemy victory. Well, that's okay. Oh. Latest army offences has turned into an unmitigated disaster with massive casualties. Well, thank you very much, Army, for that minus 1,000 victory points. But Liberté has finished working up. Guess where that's going? So I've received a peace offer from the enemy, but the conditions are rather harsh on us. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, we haven't been able to lay much of a hit on them. We will not lay out. No, rubbish. Rubbish. I'm not having that. Another research breakthrough. Torpedo damage. Oh, come on. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but my submarines are in fleet support. I haven't seen one American ship hit by a torpedo, or indeed struck by a mine. In fact, I was looking and my mine submarines have taken a real hit. I think we've lost 4 out of the 10 of them. So, still in enemy blockade though, so that's nice. With the Duquesne being torpedoed and out of action for 4 months, that's my principal battle cruiser. The Liberté is now worked up, but its crew quality is only fair, so I don't really want to send it across with such poor crew quality. And notice that I'm starting to get these asterisks, which is suggestive that the force is starting to tire of being deployed out. So I'm going to bring the force to raid back, get rid of those asterisks, and then bring them back again with the Liberté with them. Let's send them back to Northern Europe. Actually, I'll send them back to the Mediterranean, which also works as well as a home area. Just that way, I haven't really got very much in the Mediterranean. It'll be easier to see them when I reconstitute the force. That didn't quite work as I'd hoped, courtesy of the battle generator. Yes, I could have risked it to keep them there out without a base for another month, but your crew quality will start to suffer. I feel that's a precious thing, so I don't want to do that. So that will bring them back. Let's go. So let's decline that. An enemy coastal raid. So perhaps they've tried to follow us across the Atlantic. But let's see if they actually accept this. No. You see, the victory said, oh, harsh terms on us. They're just as much chicken shit. At least I've been across there properly. Oh, another weight saving on the hull, which is great. Hello, a new fighter plane. What have you come up with? Significantly less maneuverable. It does have a bit more range, particularly this 20 well, not quite 20 miles an hour. Well, I'm going to say no. It's not quite good enough to disrupt the production of our current fighter. And another submarine hits the dust. Thank you very much. Well done, Germans. So we are losing by 1,250, but 1,000 of that was, the disastrous land offensive, so hardly our fault. So in a slight glitch in the game, I see that the Duquesne and the 4 Harpons destroyers, which are in dockside hands, are still in the North American East Coast, despite the fact that I haven't got any bases there. Shh. Oh well, perhaps they'll be liberated from that soon. And another one, which I'm going to decline. A convoy defense here. So again, let's see if the Americans... Ah, yes. Now, well, let's see what happens. I'm going to say I've sent my fastest ships off to the Mediterranean in order to rest them and then send them back. So let's see what happens. Yes, we want to attack. Could this be more destroyers? Yes. Really? A whole fleet to choose from. 237 nautical miles away from Brest. So that's outside the range of most of our aircraft. So we are a bit on our own on this one. Heaven knows what the Americans are going to throw at us. I'm just going to go fast. The plan in my mind was to go southwest for this bunch and northeast for that bunch, and see if we couldn't capture this light cruiser in the middle somewhere. However, I've just noticed the sea state is a bit of a problem. And if we come out and have a look at one of the ships, we will see that speed is limited to 17 knots. So that's going to be a sedate battle. I see there's a gale from the north-northeast, so blowing this way. These guys are heading into the gale. These guys were running, but they're going to turn and go into the gale too. I guess what I want to avoid is for the American to just track up this way and intercept my convoy. So taking it this way into the teeth of the gale or that way would be great. I don't really mind. We'll see what it has in mind itself. So let's just move gently. One knot at a one. Oh, well, that's a bit ambitious. Loosing off some torpedoes from 17,000. I haven't even got the black flag up or anything. One of the joys of Rear Admiral mode. That's, hopeful. Now, we can't do anything with our guns because they're only 4 inches. So, the best will in the world, it's going to be torpedoes or nothing. This engagement is probably going to be a bit cat and mousey, with the aim of keeping them away from that until night falls. And then once night falls, I think we should be relatively safe. Let's just widen this a bit. The Chicago is straddling us. So the nice thing about destroyers is that you can jink them about quite a bit to hopefully throw off the straddle, and then the other way. And it's terrible for our shooting, obviously. Oops. And the American has reversed course, and one of these, on the rear here, has loosed off some torpedoes. They are very much torpedo happy at the moment. So the Americans are going that way, so we will reverse course and reverse again. And again. Well, I mean, fair play to the destroyer. It did anticipate reasonably closely where this might go. Oh, wow. Don't think it's favouring the 4-inch guns at all, but they're not shooting. 4-inch data. Yeah, we only go to 11,000, but at 7,000 we can't penetrate 2 inches of armour. I mean, we only penetrate 2.8 at the best. So either we rush in, but in a gale, there's no rushing. You're stuck at 17 knots. So just disengaging, see if the Chicago follows. So just opening out that range. So the Chicago seems happy. The range is now at 10,000. So almost, and then the Chicago's turn. So we'll turn to discourage it. Because obviously the Chicago was coming closer and closer. 9,200, and it's reversing its course. Well, I mean, this is all fine. As long as we are mucking about like this, no harm will come to the convoy, and ideally we will avoid lucky hits on the destroyers. And if he gets too close, some torpedoes will be launched, as they have been here. And there. So now the range is only 5,000. So I'm going to open up the range again. Just going to zoom out to see where the convoy might be. Okay, let's look at the order of battle. Convoy force, center map. Yeah, okay. So we don't want this distance. So actually, I'm going to countermand that and go down and just show this Chicago who's boss. Oh yes. You're not liking that, are you, Mr. Chicago? Well, even at 17 knots, I am surprised at how badly the Chicago is doing. Well, I'm surprised that being more aggressive is paying some kinds of dividends. I'm also surprised that Chicago hasn't hit one of our destroyers and disabled it. So I've got what I wanted with the Chicago going the wrong way, as far as the convoy is concerned. So that seems a minor victory. Is the Chicago actually on fire? No. It's just shooting a lot. Whoops. You do that. Let's have a mouse with a great spinning wheel, and sometimes it spins way all over the place. A bit optimistic there to think these little pea shooter guns could have impacted the Chicago. Right. So that's all going very well. Let's just check the time. An hour and a half. Okay, so we've used nearly half the time. Oops. Where's this bunny going? Okay. The distance is 10,000 yards. So they're coming back. Maybe to support us. Maybe just to do its own thing. Okay. Oh, and we've lost sight. That's okay. I'll pull these chaps back as well. I'll go back and join this first group, mainly so I can bring it back under my control. Not yet. I wish I had a little sign to say, you can override AI now. That would be helpful. Well, come, you're only 16,000 yards. So yeah, I guess they can't see him. Okay, let's just do a bit of this. Maybe if we bring it down to cruise. That's one of the few controls. You can't control the speed directly, but you can order it to cruise. Let's see if you can see me now. Yes, you can. Hurrah! Bring them around again. So, say bring it down to 14 knots. Where are we? So the convoy's over there. The Chicago is somewhere to the south. I want to, I guess, just patrol this area a bit, just to make sure that it doesn't do anything nasty. I think this one has been another inconclusive draw. Thank you very much. Okay, that's relocated, I think, the convoy up there. And that should be it. Oh, there we go. One cruiser with light damage, a little bit of forwards and backwards there, but a victory! Hooray! We did defeat them from picking on the convoy. Lost a few planes, not surprising. In fact, lost an airship. And a few victory points, all very welcome. Another ship with engine difficulties. Right, the Prime Minister is considering sending out feelers for peace negotiations. We cannot show weakness right now, and I don't think we have to. I think that with my ships arrested, I can send them back over to the US East Coast, try and get a proper battle. I haven't had a proper battle. I'm refusing to end this war until I get a proper battle. I mean, I know tactically that last one was a success, but I don't know. Let's sink something, shall we? Another invention. More guns. Guns have been really thick and fast, just not the ones I want. Anyhow, 8-inch quality one. Well, fair enough. The Antilles has been putting up a heroic fight for a teeny tiny little Caribbean island. And we are blockading the enemy with the help of our German allies. God bless them. So I'm going to send this raiding fleet, forced to raid, back to the East Coast. I've noticed I already have these on the East Coast. They were the ships that received the various bits of damage, and because we haven't got a base there, they actually aren't being fixed, so they're kind of permanently in limbo somewhere. I don't know, it hasn't said they've been interned, but I don't know, perhaps they're in Canadian waters or something like that. I've also noticed the Italians have gone up to 10, a little bit cross for the Italians. So not much I can do about that, other than the Liberty now can be sent across. Replace the Ducan, which is in repair limbo. So hopefully next month we will see some action. The blockade is helping us. We've nearly caught up with the American victory points, courtesy of the Army's failure. We are gently running out of money, and I am toying with, actually just scrapping some of these battleships that are just sitting in France. It's not entirely their fault that the Americans are too chicken, / they are completely committing their fleet to the Caribbean because of the Antilles' heroic resistance. I'm going to leave it here. Start off with the next episode, hopefully straight away with an interesting battle. If I don't get anything in the East Coast, I might go into the Hornet's Nest and challenge them in the Caribbean. Let's see. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, stay safe, and see you soon.